everyone, and welcome to Victoria's Action Figure Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Mattel Batman Movie Masters based on Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. We're going to be comparing and contrasting the different versions of the Batman figures that were released throughout this line, which was released between 2008 for The Dark Knight film and then 2012 for The Dark Knight Rises. First up, we have Survival Suit Bruce Wayne. This figure was released as both an individually packaged figure, as well as in a two-pack, Toys R Us exclusive that also had Commissioner Gordon. And of course, he's based on the prototype armor that Bruce Wayne had in Batman Begins. He also included this little ski mask, which is made of like a latex type rubber, and it's very stretchy, so you basically just take it and pull it over his head and make him super creepy looking. Something like that. The costume itself is quite nice. You're basically getting the prototype armor, so everything you saw in the film, the harness, the utility belt, the blades on the gauntlet, the boots, that's all there. And then of course the ski mask. Now, I think they did a very nice job of creating a figure based on Bruce Wayne. The head sculpt is really nice, in my opinion. And costume is really nice as well. Definitely very nice. The harness is sculpted separately, but it is glued in the back, I do believe. For articulation, the figure has a ball hinge at the head, ball hinges at the shoulders, swivel at the bicep, bend at the elbow, rotation at the wrist, swivel at the waist, ball hinges at the hips, swivel at the thighs, bend at the knee, and bend at the ankle. Next up, we have Batman Begins Batman. This figure was released on 2 occasions. He was first released as a single-carded figure in the Dark Knight series of Movie Masters, and then he came out in a Toys R Us exclusive 3-pack that also featured the Dark Knight Batman and the Dark Knight Rises Unmasked Batman. This particular version is from the 3-pack. It's a slight repaint from the original figure. And he does share a few parts with the Survival Suit Batman, such as the arms and legs, but the rest of the costume is new. He also has a plastic cape that isn't anything remarkable, but it is nice for a very neutral pose. The eyes are painted like a nice brown color. Nice looking figure. I think the head sculpt is quite nice. The costume itself, really nice Batman emblem there on the chest. The rest of the costume is quite nice and definitely what we saw in Batman Begins. This is a really nice figure. I actually really like the way he turned out. The shoulders may be a little bit on the thin side, but it's not terribly bad. For articulation, you have a ball hinge at the head, ball hinges at the shoulders, swivel at the bicep, bend at the elbow, rotation at the wrist, ab crunch at the torso, swivel at the waist, ball hinges at the hips, swivel at the thigh, bend at the knee, and bend at the ankle. Next up, we have the Dark Knight Batman. This Batman figure was released in 2 variations. This is the very first variation from the Dark Knight line of Movie Masters. And this one features a matte black look to the outfit, whereas the second version was much more of a glossier version. And the glossier version was also released as an individually packaged figure as part of the Dark Knight Rises line of Movie Masters, as well as in a 2-pack that featured Joker in his honor guard disguise. Overall, this is a really nice sculpt. It's pretty simple, but it captures pretty much all the detail that we saw in the Dark Knight. It has the same cape as the Batman Begins figure we just looked at. The eyes are kind of like a dark brown, blackish color. For the most part, it's quite nice. Again, this is the flat black version, which I like because it does match the film. The glossy look was not something that Batman featured in either The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises, so, that's why I like this version here. They did capture all the details there. You can see the body glove underneath and the armored plates, all that, the belt, gauntlets, and the blades there are nice, boots. All the major details are present. And as far as the articulation, you get a ball hinge at the head, ball hinges at the shoulders, rotation at the bicep, bend at the elbow, swivel at the wrist, ab crunch, swivel at the waist, ball hinges at the hips, swivel at the thigh, bend at the knee, and then bend at the ankle. True. Next up we have the Dark Knight Batman. from the Dark Knight Trilogy 3-pack, which was the Toys R Us exclusive I mentioned earlier. This was the Dark Knight Batman that came in there. It's essentially the same exact thing as the one I just showed you, except he has the glossier look to the costume, as well as the soft goods cape. There's nothing else different to him. Articulation is going to be identical. And the soft goods cape itself, as you can see, is nothing special. It's a very plain looking material. It's pretty narrow. Just give you a comparison there from the one we just looked at. You can see that this newer version is much glossier than the original release. If you have the Movie Masters Bat Pod, this Batman is the one that works best with it. Just because the soft goods cape, works a lot easier with it than the plastic one does. This next version of Batman, the Night Vision Batman, was released as part of the Dark Knight Movie Masters as an individually packaged figure. The main difference here from the other Dark Knight Batman we looked at previously is the deco. As you can see, he's got the whited out eyes. He has more of a dirty looking bat suit, and he has the flesh bits there. Other than that, he's exactly the same. Same sculpt, same articulation. The eyes just represent Batman the way he looked toward the end of The Dark Knight when he was going to confront Joker for the last time. You can see that the suit looks more, worn out, and then he's got the flesh bits there, I think, which represent when he got attacked by the dog, which, is pretty unrealistic because first of all, the dog didn't bite through Batman's suit in the film, and secondly, it couldn't have, no matter how sharp its teeth were, because, look, it's just biting through his armored plates. So this is a pretty neat version, and, it's nice that they tried to do something a little bit different. I like the night vision aspect, but I'm not a huge fan of this. I really could do without the flesh bits that they tried to incorporate there. The dirtiness look of the suit is okay, but I think the main reason you're going to want to get this guy is because of the night vision eyes. Next up, we have another Batman who came in a 2-pack featuring shirtless Bane. That was also a Toys R Us exclusive. This Batman here is yet again the same sculpt, though you are getting the soft goods cape. The only real difference here, the paint scheme, which is way different from any of the other releases. This Batman figure definitely has a much more oil-slicked kind of look to him. Now, the figure is supposed to represent Batman when he confronted Bane for the first time in the sewer. So, he's supposed to look wet, I suppose, or, just kind of dirtied up and stuff. In the movie, it didn't exactly look like this, but, actually I really like this figure. I like the way that, it turned out. And in my opinion, it was different enough to warrant a purchase. And the final figure we are looking at today is the Dark Knight Rises Unmasked Batman. This also came in that Dark Knight Trilogy 3-pack from Toys R Us that also had Batman Begins and Dark Knight Batman. The body is exactly the same as the other Batman figures, except for the paint job. The articulation is the same. Only difference here, of course, is the unmasked aspect of Batman's head, as well as a different paint job for the figure itself. The Bruce Wayne head is pretty nice. It's actually the same head that came on the Survival Suit Batman, just with a different paint job. Personally, I think the Survival Suit Batman had a better looking head, but, this one's not too bad also. Unmasked Batman was also featured in the Dark Knight line of Movie Masters as an individually packaged figure. And the head looked much more similar to Survival Suit Batman, but otherwise it was basically this exact figure, just with a different paint for the head and body. The paint, of course, is not what we saw in The Dark Knight Rises, but, it's nice that they tried to do something a little bit different for him, which is okay in my book. He also came with this little bat mask right here. It's supposed to represent what it looked like after Bane beat the crap out of Batman and then, tore the mask off. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit on his head, but, you can just have him holding it, and, it looks pretty cool like that. All right, guys and gals. So in my opinion, these are the 4 Batman Movie Masters from the Dark Knight Trilogy that I highly recommend having in your collection. If you're not one of those people that has to collect them all, you're definitely going to at least want to have these 4 figures. And I say so because you do want a survival suit Bruce Wayne in the prototype Batman armor. You want a Batman Begins armored Batman. You want a Dark Knight Batman. And then you also want a Dark Knight / Dark Knight Rises Batman with a Bruce Wayne head because, well, that's just cool. Now, if you already have or plan on getting the Bat Pod, then under that circumstance, I would say you're going to want to have this guy instead. He's the Dark Knight Batman, but with the soft goods cape. And in that instance, I would say if you're not too picky about having the flat black Batman costume, which is more accurate to the film, then go ahead and get the soft goods version right here with the more glossy costume. And this is a pretty good way to go because all you would need to get is the individually packaged Survival Suit Bruce Wayne figure, and then the Dark Knight Trilogy 3-pack that was exclusive to Toys R Us. They had these 3 figures here. So by just getting these 4 figures, you're totally set. In our next review, we will be comparing and contrasting the Dark Knight Trilogy Movie Masters Joker figures. If there's any other Movie Masters figures you want to see from the Batman movies, let me know. I'll be happy to review them for you. Until next time, thanks for watching Victoria's Cantina. Bye-bye.